the best Solly March replacements and the best players from Brighton and Newcastle who you should be transferring in. Let's get into it. G'day, mate. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another FPL video. I'm FPL Roo, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at some transfer tips for the upcoming game week 36. We'll start off with kind of the talk of the town at the moment. Solly March has been injured. A lot of people do have him in his team. In fact, over 14% of all managers have March in their team. He is 5.3 million. And he is a midfielder for Brighton, so a lot of the reasons why people have him in the team is because they have two back-to-back double game weeks. So in 36, so they have two away games against Arsenal and Newcastle, and then in 37, two home games against Southampton and Man City. So yeah, a lot of people do have March, and they are looking for that replacement. The obvious replacements are to go for a sideways move for another Brighton player, as they do have that double. Mitoma is a great option if you don't already own Mitoma. 5.6 million. He is really pretty high owned, over 27% owned, and he's only got one assist in the last 6 games. So he's not really on form at the moment, but we know how dangerous he can be, and the eye test, he does look really threatening. And like I said, Brighton do have that double. If you've already got Mitoma, then McAllister is another great option. He's actually scored 2 goals in the last 2 games, and he's on penalties. Although he does look like he's going to be playing that deeper role, he's still getting forward. He's still having shots, and he looks like at the moment the best option from Brighton. He is 5.5 million and 8.1% owned. So almost always more of a differential than Mitoma and Solly March. If you're not looking for a Brighton player, if you've already got 3 Brighton, or well, you wouldn't, because you'll be taking out March, but say if you're just not fancying it for that tough double, you could kind of ignore it and go for someone that doesn't have a double. If you are playing your free hit in 37, or you've still got kind of a wild card left and you want to kind of play it in 37 for some reason, you could go for Odegaard. So he's done really well the last few weeks. So he scored against Newcastle in 35, 2 against Chelsea in 34, 1 against Southampton in 32, 1 against West Ham in 31. So he's done really well over the last few games. Ended up scoring 5 goals, a 10-pointer, 15-pointer, 7 and 10-pointer. So his fixtures are Brighton at home, Forest away, and Wolves at home. So no double game weeks, which is not really what you're looking for at this stage of the season. But them really good fixtures, especially as Wolves will probably be on the beach by then. Brighton conceded a few goals, especially in their last game against Everton. And yeah, so it's just really, do you want to kind of ignore them doubles, or if you are playing your free hit and wild card? Another player to look at is Eze. So 5.5 million, around the same price as March, and only 6.2% owned. He's not kind of in goal scoring form, but Palace do have great fixtures. He did get a goal in game week 34, and he's got 4 goals since game week 30. So he is doing pretty well under obviously the new management of Roy Hodgson. So he has he has Bournemouth at home in 36, Fulham away in 37, and Forest at home in 38. So literally great fixtures. Bournemouth might be on the beach. They did lose to Chelsea, so not many teams do. So it does sound like they've at least booked their plane ticket to their holidays. But yeah, Forest are awful away from home, but they will be fighting for their lives. And of course, Palace could be on the beach too. But I fancy Palace to keep on scoring and keep on doing well. And with them fixtures, Eze is a good punt. If you do have your free hit and you are playing it in 37. If you don't, then I think the best option is McAllister or Mitoma. I might just get either one of those that you don't have. I'll talk about who I'm going to take out for March in another video later on in the week. But yeah, let me know below who you're going to be bringing for Solly March if you are taking him out. So as I know, a lot of you do obviously know this, as I've just mentioned it. Brighton do have a double game week, so they have double game week in 36 and a double game week in 37. I won't go through it again as I've just mentioned it. So these are just some of the players that I think you should be looking to bring in if you do have a spare Brighton slot. If you don't, then feel free to skip forward to the next section. So I haven't mentioned any midfielders as I've covered the best Brighton midfielders in earlier on in the video for the March replacements, so McAllister and Matoma. So I've kind of gone for players that are almost a bit of a differential, not incredibly owned, which any Brighton player isn't incredibly owned. So, but just that little bit of a different player, let's say, from the other managers in the world. So still, for a goalkeeper, if you do need a goalkeeper, I still think he's got his place. I know he did get a -2 in an own goal and concede 5 against Everton, but he has been doing really, really well. 3 games in a row, he's got 10 points, 6 points, 9 points. So he's done really, really well in that period. He's got an assist this season, penalty save, yeah, quite a few clean sheets. So still for 4 million, 5.3% owned is still a great keeper if you do have a spare Brighton slot that you need to fill. I mention this every week, but Estupiñán, I just still think he's a really, really great option. Only 16.4% owned, 4.9 million. And yeah, I know, okay, his attacking form hasn't been great. He's only got 1 assist recently, which was in game week 34. But I feel like he's due a big performance. He's due a clean sheet and an assist, clean sheet and a goal, and just hoping it can come in the double game weeks coming up. The only thing to bear in mind is he hasn't been rested recently, so he could be due a resting. But I just don't think there's anyone that can do his job in that team. That left side, he literally runs the whole left side with Matoma kind of playing almost as a striker or as a forward. Estupiñán is a really great option if you do need a defender. So now we're on to forwards. So these are really, really big punts. For me, I couldn't really pick one of them. I will try to, but I couldn't. Let's just talk about Welbeck first. 6.5 million, 2% owned. His starts are a bit erratic. He did get that massive 15-pointer, 2 goals and assists against Wolves when they beat him 6-0. He scored against Chelsea away as well. Brentford at home in 29. So he actually has got 6 goals, 5 assists in this season, which is not bad for the amount of minutes he's played. For me though, I'd stay well clear for that price. I just don't think it's worth it. You can spend a little bit more, get Wilson, get Isaac, who we'll be talking about later on in the video. But for me, stay clear, Danny Welbeck. There's been a lot of transfers for him in this week as well. 22,500 managers have bought him in. For me, stay well clear. There's just no need to bring in Danny Welbeck ever, probably, but definitely not right now, even with Brighton's amazing fixtures. It's kind of double game weeks coming up. Next up, we've got Ferguson, the young Irish striker. Only 2,000 transfers in for him, so not as popular, but he's just come back from injury, played 45 minutes against Everton. For me, I think it's a little bit too soon to bring him back into your teams. 4.6 million, 1.3% owned. He did have a period where he did do well. So from 18 to game week 21, he scored 3 goals and got 2 assists. So it was on fire really for that price. For me, I just think it's too soon for him. With the amount of forward options they do have, they've got Undav, they've got Ferguson, Welbeck, and then the guy next to Ferguson on the picture now is Enciso. I just would stay clear of Ferguson as well. Enciso is another story, I think. 10,000 transfers in. Again, only played 45 minutes. But I feel like he's a little bit more nailed. He has played a massive part in the last 5 games. Definitely started 5 of them, so started 5 out of 5. Got rested against Spurs, but in 30, but that's not a big deal. For me, if you are going to take a punt, I would go for Enciso. But if I had to pick 3 Brighton players, I think it would be, if you have a goalkeeper spot, go for Steele. If not, go for Estupinan, McAllister, and Matoma. I wouldn't risk it on these forwards, to be honest. But if you did want to go for a punt, I think Enciso is a not bad option. But for me, the best options are McAllister, Estupinan, and Matoma. So the Newcastle options, Newcastle do have a double game week in 36. So they have Leeds away, Brighton at home. Then they have Leicester at home in 37 and Chelsea away in 38. So Nick Pope, I think, is a good option. If you do need a goalkeeper, I think he's pretty solid. Newcastle's clean sheets have dried up though recently, so that is something to take into consideration. But in terms of their stats for expected goals conceded, they don't actually look too bad. We'll just get them up now. So against Arsenal, 1.2, against Southampton, 0.83, 0.66 against Everton, 0.68 against Spurs. Okay, Villa and Brentford, 1.93, 2.6, 0.8 against West Ham, 0.43 against Man United, 0.4, 0.38 against Forest. So they're kind of all mostly under 1. So I think they have been unlucky to not keep more clean sheets. Pope, I think is a good option, but for me, a little bit too expensive. I know, like I said, their stats, expected goals are low, but for me, a little bit too expensive for not, I won't say likely guaranteed clean sheets. That Leeds fixture, yes, it's a great fixture, but Leeds are fighting for their lives. They will be at home. I'm not expecting Sam Allardyce's Leeds to be free scoring, but I think they will be up for that at home and look like a game that they can get a result in. Brighton at home will be tough. I know Brighton just got battered by Everton, but I think that will be tough. Leicester are fighting for their lives, and Chelsea, I think they'll win that game. But Chelsea away can be a hard game if they decide to kind of turn up. I would kind of stay clear of Pope. I think there are better options. Fabian Schär is a player you could go for. So I'm sure a lot of us do have Trippier. So I have left out Trippier. He would be number 1, but Schär does look pretty threatening. He did get 2 assists in game week 32, and for 5.1 million, I think he's a much better option than Botman, who's a lot of other people do have too. Again, like I said, Newcastle defense hasn't been great, but Schär does like to get on the end of a few crosses, does like long shots from distance. He's only scored 1 this season, which was the first game of the season, 3 assists. So he is due a goal, I'd say. So definitely look at Schär if you do want to double up on that defense. A lot of kind of punty options people have been going for is Joe Linton. So 40,000 people have bought him in. He's the 3rd most transferred in Newcastle player this game week. So coming in at 6 million. For me, I just don't really see what it's about. I know he does play left wing sometimes, and he has got 3 returns in the last 4 games, which is pretty good. Or you could say 7 returns in the last 7 games, which is really, really good. But for me, I know he's definitely guaranteed to start every game, but that could be in midfield. When he's in midfield, his stats just go down a little bit, and I just don't like the look of it. And with the amount of options Newcastle do have on that left, and they can play Wilson or Isaac there. So, and they got Gordon, and they got even Murphy could play out there. Set Maximum, Almiron could play out there. For me, I just wouldn't go for Joe Linton. I just think they are better options, and that does lead us to the front 2. So Isaac and Wilson, we'll talk about them together. So just 0.2 million between them. Isaac being the cheaper version at 6.9 million. A little bit higher owned for Isaac, 11.1%, and 7.5 for Wilson. This is the big debate at the moment. Isaac looks more likely to start, but Wilson's form has been incredible as of late. He's done really well ever since game week 29. So goal against United, 2 against West Ham, goal against Brentford, 1 against Spurs, 2 against Everton, 2 against Southampton. So he's done really, really well. He's got 5 in his last 4 games, so he's on fire. Whereas Isaac, I wouldn't say he's dried up, but he's only got 3 returns in his last 4. When I say only, that's still a great return. And he's got 5 in his last 7, so still pretty good. In terms of the overall season, Isaac has 10 goals, 1 assist in 13 starts, whereas Wilson has 15 goals, 5 assists in 18 starts. So it kind of works out roughly the same. I say Isaac has a better goal to game ratio. For me, it's a tricky one. So it depends what kind of player you are. I think Isaac is more nailed. I think he is their #1 striker at the minute. But as we've seen, Wilson can do damage from the bench. So against Spurs, he got a goal off the bench. Against Southampton, he got 2 goals off the bench. So he can do the damage off the bench. And he's likely to be on penalties as well. So that is a big factor. For me, I did go with Isaac. I just like that certainty. I want the player to be playing. Otherwise, there's no point in having him for a double game week. I know Wilson can do the business, but I wouldn't be getting Wilson unless you can get both of them. And I do think that is a great option. They have been scoring a load of goals recently. So they got 3 in game week 34, 4 in game week 33, 6 in game week 32, 2 in game week 30, 5 in game week 29. So they've done really, really well attackingly recently. For me, I think the best 3 Newcastle players are Trippier, Isaac, and Wilson. If he can go for the double forwards, go for it. That way, you're kind of guaranteed a Newcastle forward in the double to start at least, if that makes sense. And you know they're going to be coming on after 70 minutes, 60 minutes, whether that be chasing the game and Isaac goes to the left, Wilson goes to the left, or they're coming on for like. So get both if you can. I wouldn't be taking a -4 to get both though. If you can do it with 3 transfers, then do it. But for me, I'd be happy with your 2 defense and one of them. I'd go Isaac. I have gone Isaac, but if you're looking to chase in the league, looking to for that differential, then Wilson is a good punt too. Well, that was it for today's video. If you did like the video, please make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know below, who do you think are the best March replacements, the best assets from Brighton and the best assets from Newcastle? And I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.